All right, welcome back. Thank you for watching these videos. You're going to be hearing sheep behind me, but we're just going to keep pressing on. This is for Hogwarts at Ravelry Study Hall. I'm having a heck of a time talking today, so bear with me. Study Hall on drop spindling. Hopefully by now you've watched my preliminary videos as well as the videos that I linked to a couple of different ones that are showing park and draft. And you've also watched my videos about choosing spindles and fiber. And in my video about pre-drafting, we talked about the importance of not pre-drafting all the way out so that you don't have to do any drafting at all. That's really my only, I would say, rule as opposed to guideline. You just don't have any control over it. You would think, well, if I draft it out to be so wide, and that's all I want the width to be on my finished single, you would think it would work. It really doesn't. You need to be actively involved in the drafting. So anyway, I showed you how far I would draft, how far I would not draft. And so I'm going to be working with this fiber today. This is from Supernatural Yarns, and I believe it's Crucio colorway, and I think it's Falkland. I don't have the tag in front of me right now, but I'm pretty sure it's either Falkland or Shetland. And again, those are ones that I really, really like. I like to spin those. Beginners, old pros, people in between, they're just nice, grippy fibers to work with. I'm also going to be using my Celtic Sheep spindle, which is a Golding. This is I like this one because it's a little bit smaller than the 3-inch ones, and it's slightly lighter than some of the heavier ones, like, well, these are probably about the same. This is one that I had them make for me. This one's a little bit heavier, and I really like to use this one, the Celtic Amber one, for plying because it's a little heavier. So I'm going to save this one for when we do the plying. And I'm going to end up filling both of these spindles in order to show you the plying. I'm not going to make you sit and watch me do that on both spindles. It'll be the magic of television, and we will cut away, and then in the plying episode you'll be able to see that I've filled this spindle. For today I'm just going to be working with this one, and I'm going to show you how to start your spinning with a leader. Okay, a leader is just a length of yarn that has been knotted so that it forms a loop. And I would say you want your leader, when it's been knotted and folded over like this, to be about 1 foot to 1.5 feet. As far as leaders go, the longer the better. You don't want to go super short, and I'll explain here in a minute why. Now, you don't have to use a leader, okay? Sometimes people will just pick up their fiber, they'll hook their little top hook in there, and they'll start spinning. And that's totally fine to do. I don't do that simply because I like to be able to slide my cop off of the staff if I need to. If I need to put it on a holder, I've got some sticks that go with my Lazy Kate, so I can slide that cop onto one of those if I'm not ready to ply yet, and then I can reuse the spindle. And what I've found is that having a leader on first makes it a lot easier to slide that cop off of there. But you can do it however you want. I'm not going to be demonstrating this because I don't do it very well. So I will show you how to do the leader, and then if you would like some help with the other, we can find you some videos to watch. Okay. Before I start with this, I do want to say a couple things. First of all, you're going to hear terminology when it comes to spinning about worsted versus woolen spinning. Now, when they're talking about that, they're not referring to worsted weight yarn. They're talking about the fiber prep and the eventual yarn that is produced, whether it be, let's see, the fiber, or the yarn that is produced from fiber that is prepped a certain way. As you can see, I stumble over my words big time when I'm trying to talk about this because I just don't have it cemented in my head yet which is woolen and which is worsted. So I'm not going to focus on that at all in this study hall. My focus is going to be teaching you how to pre-draft, to spin, to ply, to finish, and have some yarn to work with. I will link some videos and articles in my study hall that explain the difference between woolen and worsted spinning. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there so that if you're reading articles or if you're watching things on YouTube about it, I don't want you to get confused and think that the worsted terminology in spinning is the same as worsted weight, like we talk about with our yarns. You can spin a super bulky yarn and it can be worsted, but you see what I'm saying there? You can also spin a worsted weight yarn that is woolen, depending on how you spin it and the fiber prep and all that good stuff. I don't want to confuse you. I just want to say that the term for worsted in spinning is different than worsted for yarn. I think I've said that enough times now. Okay, the other thing I want to point out before we get started, you'll also see people talking about Z-twist and S-twist. Z-twist is what happens to your yarn or your singles as you're spinning clockwise. Okay? S-twist is what you get if you're spinning counterclockwise. The reason this is important is that you need to decide right now if you're going to be a Z-twist spinner, a clockwise spinner, or if you're going to be an S-twist spinner, because you can't switch back and forth. Obviously, if you twist a whole bunch counterclockwise or clockwise, and then you suddenly started spinning it in the opposite direction, all you would end up is with fluff again. Okay? You have to always spin in the same direction. At least, you know, if you want to switch later, you can, but you can't switch mid-spin, if that makes any sense, or mid-project. However, whichever direction you choose to spin, if you're going to be plying two of your singles together later on, which we'll talk about, you're going to ply in the opposite direction. So, for my demonstration purposes, and just to let you know how I do it, I always spin my singles clockwise, which is a Z-twist, and I always ply my singles together with an S-twist, counterclockwise. My very first spinning project, I didn't really understand how critically important that was. It seems kind of obvious now, but I didn't get it. So I have tons of bubbles where I have these big, fat, like bubbly, they look like pieces of a jellyfish or pieces of what is it? Kelp, seaweed, you know, big bulbs where I would go, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be spinning this direction, or I'm supposed to be plying this direction. Anyway, that is really important. So right now, before you start, make up your mind which direction you're going to go. I'm really kind of babbling today. All right, we're going to take our leader, and to attach it onto your spindle, you just take one end of your leader, and I think this is called like a half hitch knot, I'm not sure, but you just put it through the loop on the other side and pull it tight. Okay, then what I like to do, just to secure it, is I will go ahead and put the leader up into that notch and around the top, and keeping my finger in here so it doesn't get all the way twisted, I'll start to spin it, and I'll build up twist in the leader. I'm going to show you in a second here why I do that. I do that so that I can then wrap the leader around the shaft and secure it a little bit better. That's why I like to have a longer leader, because now, despite doing that, I still have plenty of room, plenty of twist, so that I can start spinning. All right, now, of these bits of fiber that I pre-drafted the other day, I could use any one of these. It doesn't really matter. I will probably go ahead and grab the one that I pre-drafted the most, and I'll plan on spinning these rather thin. Don't feel like you have to spin thin right now. Right now, all we're doing is learning the process, and you will perfect it. Like I said in my tip of the day in the thread, practice 15 minutes a day. It's far better than blowing it off for a week and then trying to do it for an hour, you know, 1 day a week. You're going to learn a lot more. You're going to perfect your technique. You're going to get more comfortable doing it if you work a little bit. You know, 10 to 15 minutes a day is totally fine. Okay, so I'm going to wrap that right there. It's on my little hook there. Okay, and I'm going to pick up one of these little doohickeys here. As I said, I've already pre-drafted this, and so you can see it's pretty thin in spots. So I'm going to just, yeah, you know what, this is going to be a pill right here. That's too thin and fluffy, so I'm going to just pull that right off and get rid of that. Okay, this part up here is still a little bit compacted where that purple dye took. That's one thing that you'll find is really interesting, is that certain dyes, certain colors seem to take the affect the fiber a little bit differently. So I'm going to just gently tug at this. This is where that purple's kind of compacted at a titch. Let's pull that out. Now again, I am not pre-drafting this down to the width that my single's going to be. Okay, I will be doing drafting while I'm spinning. Also bear with me, because typically when I spin, I sit down. I'm always sitting when I'm spinning. Sitting and spinning. However, it's easier to film and easier for you to see what I'm doing if I'm standing up. So if I'm a little wobbly, forgive me. Okay, we got our leader nice and secure there on the shaft. I'm going to build up a little more twist. And you see how my fingers are holding? Just hold that right there. My fingers are holding this open so that I can just pop my fiber right in there. And then I'm going to just gently let that twist go into the fiber, or into the drafting triangle. It's not going into the fiber. I'm preventing that with this finger. Now, if I were to let this go all the way out, this twist would totally fail. Well, not fail, but it would run out of twist, and then it would let go of my yarn here that I'm making. So I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is take it off of the hook and start winding it. Okay, and I'm going to do that again. Pull this out a little bit, let that twist go into where I'm drafting it. And then I'm going to wind it onto the shaft. Now, this is another important thing that I want to mention. When I wind onto the shaft, I'm not doing this. The reason I'm not doing that is that you change the twist if you do that. You will either be lessening your twist or creating more twist. Either way, that's not how you want to make your twist. You want to only be twisting as you're spinning. So I roll my spindle like this. Okay, I make sure that I still have enough room here for the notch and for the hook. Get my fiber out of the way, and I start spinning. And I just draft, draft and slide, draft and slide, draft and slide. It doesn't have to be a fast thing. You are the one in control of this. Draft and slide. Now look at, I've let the spindle stop spinning, and I've actually let it go backwards a little bit. The reason I do that is that it prevents lots of nasty, nasty corkscrews. These little pigtails that happen, those are okay. Those are going to keep your singles from untwisting when you ply, so those are okay. What you don't want to do is have so much twist that you have corkscrews. And corkscrews, they look like a corkscrew. This looks like a pigtail, right? Corkscrews are when the yarn is so tight you can actually see bumps in it. And I don't have any here to show you. Oh, here, actually, you know what? Let me show you a corkscrew. I'm going to just spin the heck out of that and see if I can... I'm still not making a corkscrew. If I were... Oh, yeah, I am. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to put it down on the white, at least, so that you can maybe... Hopefully you can see that right there, it's starting to It's so springy, it's making a corkscrew as opposed to just one of those little pigtails. Now, if that happens, you remember, you're in control of your fiber. Just, now I'm spinning it counterclockwise. I'm lessening the twist on that, okay? And so now you can see I've got, it's still a little bit springy, but now it's back to pigtails instead of corkscrews. Okay, so I'm going to move on from there. I'm going to wrap this up here. Okay, now remember that you are in control. You can go as slow as you need to. You're the one that is letting the twist in behind your fingers as you go. Try to turn my finger. And I wait until my spindle has stopped spinning or is even going backwards a little bit before I catch it and wrap it on. I have found that I have a whole lot fewer corkscrews and pigtails if I do that than if I try to catch it while it's in mid-spin and then quickly wind it on. You don't want to do that because you will end up with corkscrews. Okay, so we're going to do this again. We're going to get this spinning, pull it out to draft it, and let it go. Or slide it, I guess. It's hard to talk and explain while this is actually going on. It's kind of weird, actually. What I want you to get out of this lesson is that you are in control. You can go as fast as you want. You can go as slow as you need to. If this gets to the, when I'm sitting in my chair and I'm spinning and it gets to the floor and I can't go anymore and it's still spinning, I'll actually spin it backwards a little bit. That's okay. Okay, you're going to learn what works best for you. And again, I can't emphasize that enough. It's all well and good for me to say, this is how I do it, but if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't feel like that's your only recourse. Okay? And I just let that little floofy in, because I don't mind the floofies. But if the floofies bother you, someday, yes, you should maybe decide to take those out. Okay? Also, this is a really loose floofy, so I can actually just pull it right off of there. It wasn't really hooked on. You're going to find in these videos that I'm pretty laid back about this kind of stuff. I like spinning thin, but I also like chunky yarn, like thicks and thins. It's all yarn. It's something that you are making yourself with a tool that has been around for thousands of years. And that's actually pretty cool if you think about it. Okay, so I want you to take your time. I want you to remember that you are in control of this fiber and your spindle. I don't do the thigh roll. You'll see some videos out there where the person spinning will actually roll the spindle off their thigh to get it really going fast. I don't do that because I don't feel like I'm in control of the spindle when I do that. I'm not saying it's the wrong way to do it. I'm saying I personally am not coordinated enough to do that, so I'm not even going to risk my spindles doing that. I would have one probably fly across the room, hit a cat, and it'd be a bad thing. So I just, of course, I'm using Goldings, so they will spin forever without having to be rolled on my thigh. So, okay, as you can see, hopefully, I think I'm being somewhat consistent here. I think that last little bit was a little bit, yeah, you can see there's definitely, this is a little bit thinner than this here, but not by much, and ultimately, it's not going to matter a bit once you ply it. I promise you. Plying your yarns, plying your singles together covers a multitude of sins. I love two-plying because it just balances out the yarn so nicely. Trying to think if there's anything else. I'm going to talk more about plying in the next episode. Stay tuned to this channel for the next episode of Jen Spinning. When you see me next, this spindle and that other one I showed you, my Norse goddess of spinning, that's Frigg, by the way, these will be full of this fiber, and then I will show you how to do the plying on my Lazy Kate. In the meantime, here's the tip for the day. When you go to set your spindle down, say you've got this much left, or you still got some fiber that you want to spin and you're not ready to put it away yet, lay it down like this. Okay? If you need to lay it down on top of some other fiber, that's totally fine. Lay it down like that and it's not going to go anywhere. Let me show you what I did once, and it was really quite a learning experience. I had to go get up for something and I left it like this, and I set it down here. Now it's not going to do it right now. It's not going to perform for me. But because I left it like this, and I think I must have had a big pile of fluff, fiber waiting for it, this spinner, the torque, the twist that was built up in this, grabbed hold of some of my fiber, and when I came back it had spun its way into my fiber supply. So there's my tip for the day. If you have to set your spindle down, roll it up on the shaft as close as you can and just set it down. Don't keep it on the hook. Don't put the hook near your fiber. You don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, sorry if this has been a little bit disjointed. It's definitely more different. It's definitely different hands-on doing something and trying to talk about it, as opposed to just, giving a little lecture about fiber and spindles. At any rate, I think I've covered what I wanted to. I will see you again shortly, when this is all on fiber's all on my spindles. I will see you and we'll talk about plying, and in the meantime, if you have questions, please post them at the Hogwarts at Ravelry Drop Spindle Study Hall board. All right, thank you very much.